Now I want to talk about the greatest TV show in the history of television. Yes, guys, The Acolyte is back. That doesn't sound right, guys. Not at all. I tried it and there's no way that's working. Greatest, The Acolyte, same sentence. Now the show returns with episode 6 and this one is titled Teach, Corrupt. They've been going with this dual titles that hints at the twins, Osha and May. Interesting, but they haven't really built on that in a meaningful way. Now, after watching episode 6, guys, I am convinced this was pitched as a feature film. Because the way the whole thing plays out, this would have actually worked better as a feature film. I mean, this is a movie that's just been cut up into 8 episodes. No lie, because there's no way you can be giving your audience 20-minute episodes. 20 minutes. How are you going to build a proper story with 20 minutes? Now, it's a model that Disney has been using. I mean, if you go back and you look at Obi-Wan, the TV show, that could have easily been a movie. I mean, just make a movie. And if you look at The Acolyte, it would have been better digested if it was a movie. Because, I mean, it would have been one sitting, you would have watched the thing, you would have been like, this is really bad. But pumping out episodes every week, it's actually excruciating to sit through this. And the reason why the pull of the show is so huge is because it is like a feature film. You actually want to see what happens at the end. I'm going to go into spoiler territory here, guys. I want to talk about the obvious and very predictable switcheroo that happened in last week's episode where May switched places with Osha, vice versa, which is very interesting. Okay, lightsaber haircut aside, it would have been crazy if you could actually do that in real life. I'm just saying. Osha finds herself with Kumir. I hope I'm saying it. I'm just going to call him the stranger, you know, the drunken dude that turns out to be the bad guy. So what's quite interesting about this episode, and it actually surprised me, it's a much better episode than some of the previous episodes. I don't know, that's weird. It's weird for me to say that when it comes to The Acolyte, but I found there's an element of story in here that has been missing throughout the entire show, and it's just another missed opportunity in my opinion. I mean, now this guy goes in on Osha, you know, he's explaining his motivations, he's explaining what drives him and why he did what he did, and talking about suppressing emotions and all that good stuff, where the Jedi only teaches you about the good side of the things. They also teach you to suppress your emotions, things that are actually important to a person's character, trying to find that balance. So it creates an interesting way of looking at both sides, and that's been pretty interesting in the show, I must say. The fact that you can't really tell who is good and who is evil. There's a fine line, there's a blurred line as to where do you foot when it comes to your allegiance, and that is pretty interesting. That could have been something that they explored in a very unique way, but for some reason they decided not to and just spread it out as thin as possible. Now, I don't know if there's ever been nudity in Star Wars, but this is a thirst trap in this episode, so I'm giving you a warning. House of the Dragon had some crazy things going on in that episode. It's just weird that something similar happened in here. I'm just saying. And then you have Master Soul. How did Master Soul not figure out that this is May? Can't you use the Force? You're supposed to be this amazing Master Jedi, and May is right under your nose. I mean, you could have. Can't you even smell it? The tracker dude smelled it, and he's not even using the Force. That's crazy. And after seeing May press the reset button on Osha's droid, she's pure evil, man. You don't do that. That's just crazy. You don't do that. That's pure evil. Why would you do that? So ultimately, Master Soul finds out it's May, and it's a teaser. This episode is just a teaser, dude. So we have to find out what happened back with the fire that killed all the witches. We need to know. We need to know what is the actual story, because they've been teasing it and teasing it and teasing it in a very bad way. So probably episode 7, they're going to tell us what actually happened, what actually went down. And the show ends with May putting on the stranger's helmet, Kumir. So that hints at maybe Osha might have been the bad one all along. She just never tapped into her full potential. May is the one that has been motivated and trying to get things done. But then that's always how it has worked, you know, the one that seems uncorruptible, the one that can't be swayed to the dark side, is 9 times out of 10 the one that actually ends up doing that. So this hints at Osha going to the dark side. Pretty predictable stuff, I mean, obviously, guys. So not really a surprise here. The story aspect, the structure, the story, like this, like I said before, this would have worked perfect as a feature film. Once the thing, you watch the thing, you're like, you get home and you sit on it and you think about everything as one cohesive project. But as a TV show, it doesn't really work. It's not working at all. If you look at the title, Teach and Corrupt, this is basically showing that Kumir, who's been in the shadows this whole time, is actually revealing himself. And Master Soul, who's actually supposed to be part of the good guys, has a lot of secrets. Now, what is this insinuating? And the very idea of that is what kind of makes the show interesting now. I think the fact that we got an episode like this at this point in the show makes things a little more interesting going in towards the end. Very predictable. I can't see this having a season 2, I'm just being honest. But if it does, things might actually get a little more interesting going forward. Now, this is the first time in live action Star Wars that we see the lightsaber whip, which is wielded by Vernestra. Pretty interesting. Nice to see that in live action. I've known about it, you know, from the Marvel comics and the High Republic books, but actually seeing it in live action, it's pretty stunning. And this might also hint at something sinister happening behind the scenes, because we see Kumir as he's taking a dive into the lake. He has severe scarring on his back, and he indicated that it was done by his master that actually just chucked him to the wayside. So there might be a Kumir and Vernestra connection happening here. Pretty obvious, but that's something interesting that you should keep your eye on. All in all, guys, this wasn't a bad episode. It's not as bad as the show has been, you know, which makes me think that there was a lot of untapped potential here that they could have just went in on the show. Like I said, feature film would have worked better. It wouldn't have blown everybody away. It probably would have been in the same category as The Last Jedi, but it would have worked better. A lot of interesting twists, a lot of things to come. I would like to see how this thing plays out when the dust finally settles on the Acolyte. So a lot of pieces are already in place. And I just want to say, dude, Master Soul is in his ship and he goes into hyperspeed, and then zoop, the Jedi show up. Like, they missed each other. Like, why? Why do that? But that's just me, guys. That's just me. I have my own issues with the show. One thing I actually want to mention about this episode, the scenery is absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's some of the best views and scenery that I've seen in Star Wars. Like, it reminds me of the island that Luke Skywalker was on. I don't know if it's the exact same island. If it is, then that will be crazy. But the scenery was gorgeous, and it's actually nice to see Star Wars set in such an environment. Could have done more with that, but I love the fact that they had this beautiful view on full display. But that's it for me, guys. Please let me know what you think of episode 6. Have you been watching this show, or has all the disastrous critique just held you back from watching the show? I mean, I've stuck with it, and it is what it is, guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The show has been bad, but it has had a few moments, and yeah, it's not completely unwatchable. I mean, episode 3 almost ruined the whole thing for me. But as a fan, I would like to see where this thing goes and see what happens at the end, and then we can talk about it after we've seen the entire thing. Please let me know down below in the comment section, guys. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. That's it for me, guys. I will definitely catch you on the next video.